Hey guys, welcome to episode 5. Yeah, 5 of season 3 of Doodle Empires. Let's get to it. Last episode we had an Irish empire form, but now they're kind of crumbling here. So what we're gonna do is we're going to finish redistributing all their land that was colonies, and then giving back their land, except for certain pieces of land that Scotland's gonna grab from their mainland island. So let's start by cleaning up the island. But since Ireland's a debt now, because after the surrender they went in debt, they still need to sell off a bunch of stuff, so they're gonna end up selling they're actually gonna keep a few things, but they're gonna end up selling off almost everything. All of their colonial stuff, because they kinda need to. I gotta create this thing. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, this is Francis. So I'm gonna do French Protestant there, because why not? That seems kind of fun. Oh, they're gonna found a religion too. I'm gonna turn on the found religion card. What are they gonna found? Do Scottish? Why not? About time they get an origin diverge. I'm gonna have them keep Scottish folk, because I feel like it's just fun to have it. Can I get I don't want a split. I want an expand. Thank you very much. It's a small one, but it's still an expand, so I'll take it. Oh, here's a large expand. But what of Ireland are they gonna be taking? They're gonna be taking that big chunk. It's basically like this world's Northern Ireland, but it's Scottish instead. I'm actually going to see if I can get a split out of these guys. I accidentally clicked on them. I didn't mean to do that, so I'm just gonna ignore that. I'll figure that out later. These guys start pushing deeper, purchasing more and more land from them. But since the locals here are getting so set over all the land exchange of their land between countries that are so foreign to their place, and then suddenly Yugoslavia is the worst one, or treating them worse, the worst out of all of them, even if they're all treating them bad. Rebellion happens here. Actually, this is kind of where Burkina Faso is. Let me recog my memory with a map, but I can't find that in my room, so we're gonna have to hope that this is at least somewhat accurate. I'm gonna start up there, but they're very quickly going to start going down. And they managed to capture a few cities here. Should capture all the cities, making it very quick and easy for them to capture 9% of the rest of the land. And we're gonna name some of these cities here. I'm gonna decide which ones to do that in a second with. They continue taking land, and then they decide to make their capital Faso City. And then they start pushing in a bit deeper here. I guess I'm not pretty sure, but I'm pretty sure this episode is probably gonna be a lot of rebellions, because I'm still gonna just decide to start leaning into how much splits I'm getting. We're gonna get a new tribe. This tribe is actually going to form in this land, because this land was kind of abandoned. So one of the local groups decided to just take charge, and it was really freaking easy. And it's gonna be in the Irish land. And we're actually gonna do it down here, so we can do Guinea, even though this isn't Guinea, it's Equatorial Guinea. I'm just gonna call it Guinea. Yeah, and they start just trying to take control, being pretty successful with it for the most part. But they're very peaceful people, so they would have probably just kind of sucked it up until for a long time afterwards if they didn't do this. They end up adopting African Protestant, because the closest nation to them that is similar to their culture is Malawi, because even though Burkina Faso is native group, their culture is just so different, and it's way more close to Malawi. But yeah, they continue doing that, but eventually they form their own thing, which is gonna be Guinea folk. It's gonna be kind of that color there. Francis gets a new leader, and they're expansionists. But a disaster happens back on mainland, which is going to cause a little bit of a distraction. They're also going to end up adopting Roman Catholic because that's starting to become a very dominant religion in this area. They just adopted a religion. Jesus, they're going to keep that one. I want them to expand. Aren't they expansionists? Hold on. Game settings. I'm actually going to turn up split. Actually, I'll keep there. Hey. So, I guess then they finally decide to take some more land here. But this tribe here kind of just starts to settle a little bit there. Let me finish cleaning up this. If it'll let me, that is. There. Germany sees that nobody's been trying to grab at this land that they have down here. So they decide to start grabbing it. Because Ireland is basically is selling it, and if they're not, they're not really fighting against people taking it. Because there's not very much they can do. The colonies are basically not even theirs at this point anymore. Like an entire rebellion happened down here, and there was no fighting at all. It just kind of happened. So they're not having that much ability to fight back. Although still most of the like outside foreign powers that are coming in are 90% of that is buying land, even if they take a little bit more than they actually purchased, because they don't want to lose the trust of Ireland just in case if they get powerful again. I don't want to do a new tribe right now. There's not enough nations in here. Probably gonna change that pretty soon here. But yeah, we're actually gonna mess with Sri Lanka for a little bit. They're gonna continue fighting against Madagascar. They start going up. It's like Indian Peninsula thing. And eventually they got this Madagascan colony too. And they just continue going up that. And then Madagascar decides to put their sights somewhere else and starts colonizing a little bit of mainland Africa here. They're not really colonizing because they are familiar with this land, they just haven't settled down there yet because it wasn't nearly as profitable as India, as the Indian land here, but they didn't really care anymore because Sri Lanka's getting so powerful that even if they could technically beat them, they just don't want to put in the resources, so they're just gonna tolerate it. I don't want to do a tribe right now, you know. But yeah, they keep expanding. Let me do. Their nation's at 4. I'm surprised I haven't got a new nation in a good bit. I'm gonna mess with these guys, cause why not? Yakutia. They're gonna start doing a lot of stuff, and so is these people out here. And the tribe's settled. They're actually gonna adopt atheism. Rus is going to build a castle. They're actually gonna union with this, which is gonna seem silly, but trust. You have to trust me on this. I just need to connect them. Ooh, new nation. I'm gonna go have fun with this real quick. Right here seems like a good place. Or actually, let's go down here. Let's do the Aztec, and they're gonna be just where they are and where they were in real life, which is in these mountainous areas here. Yeah, I'll come back to them in a second. I'm kind of trying to make this somewhat reasonable here. I know that makes a lot of sense right now to do this, but you have to trust the process here. I want to make it look a little bit natural while they connect. Oh, they finally connected. There. That looks freaky. So we're just gonna try to see if we can patch this up a little bit here. Oh, they're gonna adopt a religion. That'd be fun. Yeah. It does adopt. Rus adopts Islam. That's fun. What if I don't have them split? What if I don't create a new nation right now? Hello? Can I do something? Thank you. It's one weird looking country. Alright, we're gonna go back to down here real quick. Have some fun here. Yeah, they're gonna start taking a little bit of that land there. They're gonna have a split. Chile. And Chile's gonna be down here. Like that. Alright, we're gonna get back to this now. The Ireland thing. Scotland's gonna get a new leader. What is a new leader? Conqueror and Explorer. Alright, so they have a large expand. So they decide to start taking some Irish land in South America down here. And they're just gonna continue going up, really trying to get these rich parts down here along the coast. Rome decides to even start getting in with it and starts taking some of this land, cutting off Germany. It kind of makes Germany a little mad, but they deal with it for now. Yeah, they just keep going. Kind of want these guys to have a split, but that does not happen just yet. Instead, using their newly found money, they purchase this little sliver of land so they can have a little bit more of that river. And also, I just wanted to make the thing a bit nicer looking without coming up with a reasoning. Yeah, they start expanding their whole colony there. North side's gonna do some stuff, and Finland's gonna do a thing like that. Yeah, look at that. Sweden decides to start taking some stuff down here also. Yep, they just keep going down. A natural disaster does hit, but it was very small impact, so they just continue going. And then they decide to take these islands away from them also. And they even got their little governing hands also on this land down here. We take paganized Catholic as their religion, but they continue going down there. Really just conquering this land here. Yeah, so Scotland has taken the last little bit remaining of Ireland and South America. So yeah, that's happened. And while I have this little bit of things, I'm gonna have them take a little bit more in there. Also, Rome, you need to finish what you started here real quick. Hold on. Dang it. Well, that's fine. I'll deal with that later. And they decide to make their colony here a little bit bigger. And they also expand this colony they have here in Mexico a little bit more. But yeah, Rus starts trying to expand a little bit more here. Because they believe that's probably just a way to go right now, is trying to expand a bit more so they can start, so the other European countries will start recognizing them as a bit more as like an actual like power, because they're so new, and they're extremely different faith from the rest of them, that it is going to be a little bit difficult for them to gain their trust. So they decide to try to expand and show that they are able to conquer. And yeah, they have a plan. They haven't gone full on it, but they have a plan to go to war with Finland, to like, partially because they want the land. They want like a big chunk of what Finland has under their land, and also they believe that it might show the fact that they are powerful to the rest of Europe, might gain them a bit of respect with some of the other nations. So yeah, they just continue to build up. They're really getting real close to the border, to the Finnish border right here. And then they attack. They start by pushing down here, and then they start pushing like that up through there. Slavia takes notice, and they end up making a deal with Rus, and so they start taking the land together. So they start to take down this lower area half. The deal was they get to take most, if not all, of the land down in this area of Finland that Russia has not taken, up to this river right here. That was the deal. And in exchange, they get help with the war, and also they just get like a companionship. They get a union. Not a union, but they work together, and they're now like allies and stuff. But yeah, since that's all they are allowed to do according to the deal, they stop pretty quickly. And then Rus starts taking Finland. Yeah, and then they really start pushing deep onto Finland. and Finland, and they eventually come to stalemate right here. And then after a little bit, they decide to make a deal to leave the borders as they are now, and that's just the way it's gonna be because they're just both wasting resources right here. So yeah, they stop. But Russia's not done on gaining land, so I'm gonna have, since it's very important to the plot, I'm gonna have them keep that religion. But since they're still big into wanting to get more land, they start going down this way, and they take all of that. A natural disaster hits in the middle of their country, but it's not that big of a deal because they can always just take it back. And the previous leader dies after assassination because a lot of people aren't the happiest with how expansionist he is. But his son, while less expansionist than him, takes power. He's still fairly expansionist, so he does finish what was started last, which was Turkey, and he decides to do a little bit more than that. But after that, they settle, and they're probably gonna start doing more later. But they decide that this is as big as I need to get right now, because I'm just saying they already are like double the size of this, of like an entire empire. So yeah, Starfire decides to get into the getting rid of Ireland's like colonial holdings in the Caribbean. So they start to do that, and they want to take it for themselves. Because first of all, they don't like their presence here anymore, because they've done so much stuff to this land and stuff, and they just have such a bad reputation that their presence is just not tolerated here anymore. So they take their land, and they even let a peaceful rebellion go on in Cuba, where they just basically take Cuba and maybe a few other stuff in the future. So they take Cuba, Jamaica, the Bahamas, and a little bit of this island, which in like the Haiti area. Francis is going to have a split, and Nigeria is going to take charge, which is just, I'm going to have them just be a dark green color. And they're going to take all this land here. They take Guinea folk as their religion, and then they start expanding into former Irish territory. Well, basically former. It is still technically on paper Irish territory, but they just start expanding into it, taking it because they are tired of like having colonial rule in the areas. So they're trying to liberate their peoples. Scotland, while they don't like Ireland, also they're not the biggest fan of this, so they try cutting them off, which does not really work that well. So they declare war, and they start by doing a big, like they just send a huge battalion straight into the center of Nigeria. But to many people's surprise, Nigeria easily takes over that and pushes into this Scotland territory here without any problem. And they've actually been waiting for this moment. Part of the reason why they just like as quickly as they could went past them, trying to cut them off. They were eliminated, and Scotland decides to just give it up and say, fine, you can have that land. So then Nigeria just continues a little bit there, and that they stop at that point so they can start regaining some of their things. And then this tribe down here, this Guinea tribe, starts to take a little bit more land in that area. We're gonna go down here to the Aztecs, see what they're doing. They decide to expand a little bit more up this way, and then eventually, yeah, they just start settling around that area. Down here, this Nagadua, they become divisive, and I don't like that, so hopefully they can get a new leader soon. because I do not want them fighting each other right now. I want them to actually get to a point where they're actually like relevant. But I'll get back to that in a second. Papua down here starts expanding deeper into Australia, and they just keep doing that because they realize that some explorers found some really valuable stuff around the lower coast down here in Australia. So now that's their goal, is to get down here and take all that valuable land that they discovered. They decide to adopt a religion. They adopt Polynistic, because they are a Polynesian country. And then they just continue going in this area, trying to build up their Australian thing. Instead of Sydney, I'm gonna put Sid now, because I don't know why, that's something where like makes sense. It just makes more sense to me. And then they finally have a split, and Sydney, there's a rebellion against them. It's basically Australia, but like I'm calling Sydney to try to be at least a little bit unique here. And they rebel. They start in Sydney, in the Sydney area. They quickly take this little island here. It has a name and it's famous, but like I just can't remember at the moment. But then they start taking a lot of this colonial area here. Yeah, and they take all that land, because this is kind of like the decolonization area here, in a way. Slovenia continues expanding this, and eventually, they try to buy back. They slowly start buying back, Florida. So they weren't all too happy about losing Florida. I don't think Norden exists. Oh no, they actually do. Never mind. Yeah, they just really push in. And the locals, the new people here, are starting to get really angry. And they just continue pushing deeper and deeper into this land here. They even go to war with Colorado. And they push a lot of them out of there. And they just continue to go to war. Not go to war. They purchase a bunch of land in this area from Norden. They're really just trying to dig in there, which in this area where most people are trying to decolonize, so settle down, a lot of other nations are getting mad at them. And the people within the lands, natives and the new colonial people, are not very happy about this expansion. Believe it or not. It's kind of the opposite of what caused the revolution in Maryland, but still. Like, they're just really aggravating everybody, and they are divisive, so I'm surprised there hasn't been a split yet. Now I'm gonna turn up split, because this is kind of getting annoying. That's up, that's pretty. They just continue going, Jesus. Oh my god. I need a split already. Come on. Give me a split. You can do it. No, fine. Let's just continue pushing. And they go to war with Colorado and they start taking it. Finally, and they finally have a split. We're gonna do like Slavic United States of America. The Slavic United States of America. And then they just keep going. They even make a union with Colorado. And of course they're spreading religion. Although they're atheism, which is not accurate to real life, or whatever. They spread it to Baja California, the Baja Empire. They continue pushing through Slavia, and they start getting up really close to taking all the rest of it, and they don't stop until they finish it off. Look at that. That's Slavic United States of America. Right now, the Slavic United States of America is now paganized Catholic. that is something. Northern sides, the US is kind of in debt right now. They sell off some land to Northern. Yeah, and they start taking all this land and they start going down here. Which isn't making the US too happy, but they're kind of in debt right now, so they can't really fight it. Kind of just have to let it happen. Oh, I should have taken that split. Same freaking traits. Yeah. So Rome is going to start doing stuff also, because why not? See how full our map is real quick. There's so much empty space still, even after all this. Not in Europe though, that's for sure. Almost the entire continent of Europe is taken. Let me finish it off real quick. So that will be part of the finish off. So Northern decides to, if it lets me, Jesus Christ, start taking a little bit of this land here, since it's unclaimed and stuff. Northland starts to get in it. Also, they kind of cut them off, but they don't really care right now. They're taking all that stuff, and these guys over here start getting a bit closer. Build some more castles down here, and then they start actually forming a border up here. Slavic United States of America is crazy. But we're just gonna continue with Northern here. Maybe not actually. We could do El Paso. Paso. And then be like that color, because why not take all of that land? They just continue doing that down into this land here. They diverge origin too. Disaster strikes. Oh no. I don't really want them to have a split. But yeah, they just continue going down into this land here. Alright. Down here. Been down here for a little bit here, and we're gonna have some fun with Chile. And they're going to start going down right here. There. Scotland starts expanding down here. Even buy up a little bit of land off the Sui way. Nigeria, after fighting a little bit, they're finally done building up their army, so they start planning their attack on the rest of the land here, because one of the only divisions left is that Ireland has in their colonial areas is in this castle right here. So if Nigeria can take that castle, there isn't any issues anymore. Which is exactly what they do. They take the castle, they get it over with, and then they continue expanding into this land here. And officially finishing off that little chunk of Ireland. And that chunk of Ireland is gone. I don't think Ireland has any more colonial things anywhere. You know? I don't think they do. I'll look around a little bit, but I don't think, yeah, it doesn't appear that they have anything left. But wait, they have this little land there. I'll let them keep that for now. What does Northern want to do? Medium expand. Okay. And they just start expanding a little bit more in this little area here. And then, the Aztecs are going to start going up a little bit here with the hope of finding some different resources with the hope of advancing technology-wise. And they do. Once they reach here, it is really hard for them to get through that area, because that area is notoriously hard to get through. But eventually they break through it, and they get up into this area and they find resources that they never found before. It is somewhat similar, but it does help them start getting a bit more advanced technology-wise. Although some of the natives that live here aren't too happy, they are tolerating it because their cultures, while different in a lot of ways, are somewhat similar. And yeah, that's what happens. Sapphire does not like how much stuff is going on around them though. But they kind of have to deal with it right now because they're just not in a position to go to war or anything like that. The Baja Empire starts taking some land in here, because they've been being quiet for a long time because they've been building up resources to start mass expanding. So what they do is just basically start by cutting everybody off and taking this little chunk of land. Oh my god, I'm not doing a split. I don't even care. And then once they do that, they start expanding up here a little bit too. I'm gonna have to turn splits down again. Only a little bit though, because it's still like a split-centered episode. Yeah, and eventually they end up finally building a castle. Oh my god, I'm not doing splits. Shut up. Okay, but I guess they're gonna adopt a different religion. And they adopt paganized Catholic. Okay, that's me expands them. Now they're isolationists, that's amazing. And now, since they're isolationists, they're gonna expand. That's fine. No, fine. There. That will be their border. This looks so weird. I'm surprised Rome hasn't gotten anything bad happen to them yet. But yeah, that's how that's going. Us decolonization going pretty good. And, yeah. There's a lot of colonization to be done. But just after the recent, like, explosion in colonization, there's a lot of people who are settling down now. And trying to put it to a stop because, it was causing so much wars, but it's not going to be a permanent stop. So, yeah, Aztec gets a new leader. Also, Chile just got, Roman Catholic as a religion. Conquer jungle explorer, that makes a lot of sense. Since they're jungle explorers, they decide to start going into this area, which is going to be a little difficult. This is, well, you know, a jungle. They take paganized Catholic as their religion, and then they continue going into this area here. Really going deep into the area. They became uniters, so they are going to unite with Chile. I'm gonna put Aztec Empire because they're kind of an empire, because I just call them an empire now, but they're not really a colonial empire, so there's not necessarily a problem with them just yet. They lose a little bit of land there, but they quickly just take it back. So yeah, that becomes pretty big as the Aztec Empire. And then this place right here, Nunavut, is also going to start doing some stuff. Then over here, Rus is going to start doing some stuff because, well, Rus like being big, so Rus needs to be bigger. That's their logic. So then they continue taking this land here. They even purchased a little bit of land too, and they still keep their current religion. It's probably going to change eventually, but for at least at the moment it's still very important to the story. That they're Islam in like this continent, and yet they're this big and this powerful. Oh, okay. Yemen's gonna do stuff because we haven't actually been getting a lot of stuff down here from the Middle East. So Yemen's gonna start doing some stuff here. Hopefully they can get a split so we can have some fun. So yeah, they're basically just like encircling this entire continent. Not continent, that's not a continent. They're encircling like this entire area. Entire Middle East. Finally, we got split. Let's do Saudi Arabia to be the first split. And you know what? This is just for fun. I'll do that. Why not? And then Saudi Arabia, after taking that, decided to go and let me in there a little bit, but they quickly realized that they can't go too far, really. They're gonna keep this religion because it's important. That they keep it. And then the split's gonna happen. What could I put down here? I don't want to put either of those countries because both of those countries would be very controversial. Persia? That's not Persia though. Is that Persia? Yeah, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter, but I don't care. Persia, and even if it is actually here now, which I don't think about, it makes no sense. This is Persia now. One thing I could think of for some reason that wasn't too controversial. No, nothing but great expand. Yeah. And then they're gonna start going down here. They're getting a lot of empires today. Yeah, that will be the empire. There should be the Persian Empire here. It's gonna keep going down. Yeah, I think that will be good for today though. So yeah. Let me zoom out here so you guys can see the map. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Doodle Empires Season 3. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe. A link to my Discord will be in the description. And goodbye.